Good evening. The Otago Regional Council's top man is out of a job as of the end of next month. General Manager Brian Bang has not had his contract ratified, although the council is not saying why. It will shortly begin looking for a new person for the job worth more than $100,000 a year. The region's oyster industry will be hard hit by the reduction to the quota announced yesterday. The Fovo Strait oyster industry says the government's panicking by introducing what it sees as a drastic mid-season cut. Michael Lynch reports.
23 boats brave the stormy waters of Fovo Strait each season, dredging New Zealand's top oyster. If the quota cuts stay on, this could be reduced to 15, bringing big job losses in Bluff. But alarm's nothing new in this industry. For 80 years, the oyster beds have been said to be declining. But the boat owners are bitter there hasn't been a full assessment for 15 years, as they told Fisheries Minister Ken Shirley today. The ministry is finally getting round to its own survey this year, and not relying on the reports of the boat owners.
People have alleged that there has been wrong reporting. That's not surprising given the nature of the industry.
They may claim they've got a right to panic given their assessment of the stock state. We're saying it's not as bad as they believe it is.
And the scientists studying the latest disease data seem to share this optimism.
It's had a very bad downtime in 62, 63, and as far as we're aware, back in 1941, and again, even back in 1917. And it recovered from those.
For the Bluff oysters, a pearl indeed. It's gone from 3 cents each to over 50 in a mere 30 years.
Come on, Captain.
Still with the fishing industry, a Soviet squid boat seized in Dunedin in February for fishing regulation breaches is to be returned to its owners for a fee of $25,000. The Russian master of the Baykosk was convicted on a charge of using trawl nets with undersized mesh, and his boat was seized by the Crown. Fisheries Minister Ken Shirley says the fee to recover the vessel will cover Crown costs in investigating and prosecuting the case. He describes it as a relatively minor technical offence. Main highway traffic had to be diverted for several hours after a car collided with a sheep truck near Waihola this afternoon. 4 people apparently suffered minor injuries in the accident. After the impact, the truck ran off the road and rolled. Several sheep were injured and some were humanely destroyed by police. In another traffic incident this afternoon, a stolen car was recovered from the Otago harbour. This Nissan Bluebird was taken from South Road in Caversham late yesterday. More on Dunedin's rubbish dump now. Plans to build a rubbish mountain at Green Island are about to be considered by the City Council. Actually, it's more of a low hill than a mountain, if truth be told. And planners are promising it'll look a lot better than the existing tip, Mark Price reports.
A $5 million plan to improve the Green Island tip comes before a council committee next week. The idea is to improve the tip in the Kaikorai estuary and also extend its life. Some of the money would, for example, be spent preventing chemicals leaching into the estuary, pumping them away instead to the new Green Island sewage system. But that's just the beginning. The plan is to turn the rubbish tip into a carefully controlled sanitary landfill, landscaped into the bargain.
The thing that we've done really is pick up on the existing slopes out there and the existing vegetation and try and extend those themes through, particularly with the estuary, and extend the ecological corridor through.
As things are, the tip will be full in 7 years or so. Council staff aren't keen to get into the difficult business of finding a new site, and they're suggesting a hill be created at Green Island so it can be used for another 25 years. Mr Heath sees it like this.
Well, the ideal will be that it'll look part of the existing landscape and will fit in. It shouldn't be easily distinguishable from what's already there.
It's suggested a view from surrounding suburbs will improve, the hill planted with trees and grasses that help it blend into its surroundings, from Fairfield, from the Brighton Road just before the turn-off, and from Sunnyvale. The grand plan includes a transfer station like this one in Hamilton, where as much as 20% of the rubbish is sorted out for recycling. The plan is only for the Dunedin City Council's tip and does not include the adjacent Maxwell's tip.
The much-maligned Musselburgh pumping station got another mention in the national press just the other day. Not because it does such a good job of pumping our sewage, but because it features prominently every night on One Network News. So we sent Mark Price to find out what makes it different from any other sewage pumping station. Mark gets all the good jobs.
If the Musselburgh pumping station did nothing but pump and filter sewage, then it wouldn't be nearly as famous as it is today. It's what the station's staff get up to 6 times a day that pushes it into the limelight. Here's a quote from a Sunday Times article.
Like many others, she would like to see the temperature recording station moved from its breezy perch in Musselburgh. For too long, we have been victims of the 3 p.m. temperatures.
The woman in the article goes on to say, over the years, lots of Dunedin people would have agreed with her, so we asked the pumping station supervisor to say something in favour of Musselburgh.
I think originally I felt that the Musselburgh temperatures, or generally the temperatures listed in our weather maps, was too low. But once I came here, I realised that the temperatures on a mean were quite reasonable for Dunedin.
What do you think this site's got going for it?
It's...
And another tricky question. Is Musselburgh the city's coldest suburb?
Some streets are quite open and exposed, but around this area it's reasonably sheltered compared to some of the places, so I don't think it's too bad.
So the weather station could be in a worse place?
I think it could be, yeah. If you get up, say, Waikari or somewhere like that, you'd certainly be a lot colder than what you are down here.
Well, what other people say, well, that's up to them, but no, in my opinion, no. I think it's all right here.
And the Met Office agrees with that sentiment. The Musselburgh station may not be seen to be contributing greatly to Dunedin's image, but it will be around for quite a while yet. The very fact that records have been kept here for so long makes it a valuable site for Met Office purposes, and it'd have to be a pretty good reason for them to shift it. What has been done, that seems to be working in Dunedin's favour, is to provide Jim and Penny with the day's maximum temperature rather than the 3 p.m. temperature. The only problem there is that the same thing's being done in every other centre as well.
Now we feel much better. Residents of Karitane have been celebrating today because it's 150 years exactly since the first Christian sermon was preached in Otago. A procession opened the programme of activities in the township today, and Lee Bramwell was there.
Pioneer missionary James Watkin arrived here 150 years ago. The history books tell us he never really enjoyed the post, but that didn't stop Karitane residents enjoying themselves today as they opened celebrations with a parade. It looked as if every resident of Karitane turned out for the memorial service on the same site as Watkin delivered his sermon in 1840. Parts of his text were reenacted.
Now unto the King eternal, immortal, invisible, the only wise God, be honour and glory for ever and ever. Amen.
Watkin was said to have had a flair for languages, and within 4 months of his arrival was able to preach in Māori. That also played a part in the service today.
This Bible is older than me. And I've had to work my tongue around some of the words that's printed in this.
The celebrations ended with a carnival and banquet, and everyone agreed there couldn't have been a better day for it.
Looks good too. We'll be back tomorrow night. Good night.